I know I brought up Doc's face. He's like, but I was also thinking of like Biff in specifically the second one, where he's like, McFly!
Yes.
And he's like shaking.
You need carbs!
May thy knife chip and shatter.
There is beauty in imperfections.
You're great. I am.
And if you feel it, are you watching closely?
Don't want them to think we're sponsored. You
Yeah,
can't show
no.
the...
Well, Josh was all. Remember when Josh was all about the? He was like, "Don't show Bubbler unless they give us money because you're trying to give them."
No, what was it? It wasn't Bubbler.
Wasn't
It was just a can of mystery.
That was one of my favorite moments, though, is when he was like putting his water bottle in, or his phone in front of it, and the water bottle image rotated.
Yep.
So from now on, the company knows who they are. I am addicted. I will forever be drinking only water. Now.
Image rotated.
Frick. Dang it.
Hi, my love.
No, we're not you and Zach, so we can actually sit next to each other. Well. Yeah.
So, the story goes, for the last 6 weeks, as Daredevil has been coming out, Zach and I will be texting each other at 9, which is right after the episode ends, about the show. And Ellie's like, let's go to bed. And I'm just away texting. She's like, you're taking your boyfriend. And so she also noted that apparently we've been getting closer on the couch.
Just inching a little closer, yep. Every episode.
Also, we're not sponsored by Prime. I would never take a Prime sponsor, but this Supernova, or not
Sour
Nova, is not sour. Like I wanted to try it for the new sour.
This is a reverse sponsor.
It even says it's a reverse
sour level.
It says sour level, and it's like 4 out of 10, if that. So it's not that sour. So just there's your food review. Yay!
Yeah. Well, they know we don't have sponsors, so.
No. Yeah. On that note, it's falling. I don't know how to make it not fall.
I'll just hold it for
No.
the whole episode.
I don't know how to make it not fall.
Clip it to your beard.
No. So yeah, this is the first week that we've done bi-weekly episodes, and it's a little disappointing because for me, you don't have to deal with production and stuff. I missed it this week. It was good to have a week off, but I need to not have a week off. The point, again, to reiterate what I interjected at the beginning of last week's episode, is that I got a full-time job and I just don't have the time to put as much work into the podcast, and so it's easier. I don't want the quality to diminish, so I'm choosing to take more time to put out the same amount of quality, and it was just hard to not do that this week. I guess I haven't told you my thoughts on this, but it's how I'm feeling. I like working on it. It's good that I'm not going to be working myself to the point of burnout, but it's still hard knowing that we're recording this on Friday and there was no episode today. So
I gotta say, I was a little bummed too. I was looking for it this morning. I was like, oh, that's right.
yeah, we'll see. No promises, but there is a new update to my editing software that maybe streamlines
Potentially
the podcast editing process and would be able to be more regular because it'd be less hands-on. We'll see. It needs to be a decision between my lovely wife. So there's that. We got some good episodes coming up, though. We have a collab coming up that I definitely told you about. Another podcast and Christian movie podcast, and us are collabing. Zach and I will be recording with them at the end of the month and then getting that out sometime in May. And then I know that Zach and I are going to a concert together in May.
a date.
No, it's not a date, Mom. we're going to a concert together, and we're going to record an episode on our 5-hour drive, or 10-hour drive round trip. But amongst those 5 hours, we will be talking about random stuff, and then, of course, Daredevil episode. So basically, there you go. There's your next 3 episodes over the next through the end of May or something. Daredevil Born Again is coming out the finale is coming out in 4 days now, 5 days. And then you'll hear this episode. And then 2 weeks after that will be our Born Again episode because we've decided to not be on top of everything. But now, content at a slower rate.
Yep.
Anyways, that's where we're at. More casual instead of my official announcement last week. Do you have anything?
Off topic?
Anything off topic? I mean,
I got
you're along for the ride for
really
a lot
am.
of my nerdy stuff.
Yep. What was the thing you told me about today?
I don't know. Pop quiz.
What?
Pop quiz. What did I tell you? I don't remember.
I don't either.
Okay.
There was something that you were like, did you know? I can't remember what it was now.
Like the little 4-year-olds we teach in Sunday
Yeah.
school. Guess what? Did you know? Oh, no. I just keep...
Did you know that I went to the beach this weekend?
No, I didn't. That's crazy. And I... They're just so excited.
Yep.
Zach and I have a lot of thoughts on Born Again, especially with only 1 episode left. That's all I got for news, just because that's relevant and will not be relevant by the time you're listening to this. Also, happy Good Friday or Easter or whenever you're listening to this, because that's when this is coming out. Mm-hmm. Zach is usually on top of the news stuff.
Tariffs, that's all I got.
It's not that kind of news. I don't know, Minecraft movie came out.
It did. It was.
It was.
Honestly, this is a hot take. I know you're supposed to like it because it's stupid, but honestly, I was bored most of the movie. There were a few moments where I was like, oh, that's the meme. That was so funny. And then I was bored again. I just think it was bad.
It was bad.
But the memes were still funny, but the memes were like literally all that was good about the movie were the memes that I had already seen.
Yep. Well, then I showed you them because they were populated. They still infiltrate my Instagram page.
Your entire
like
feed is
2
like...
out of 3 are Minecraft movie related.
Oh, no.
They are very funny, in my opinion. They're very Gen Z.
Very.
I will not advocate for it being a good movie. I don't know where your boredom came from. You can feel that if you want, but I love the energy in the room from our showing, and I probably would not watch it again.
Yeah, I was going to say I would never watch it outside of theaters.
The problem is, it's doing so well, we're definitely getting another one.
No.
Hopefully better.
I doubt it. They don't have to make it better. They just have to make it memeable.
Yeah. Well, we've had a lot of conversation on the Discord about Jack Black. Like, why did we think he was playing anything else other than his Jack Black character of being loud and obnoxious? I mean, Jason Momoa phoned it in for sure. But, like, all the other characters didn't feel like they had anything. They're very shallow. And so they could have had more, but I don't know. It just came out with a very goofy movie, and
not the very goofy movie.
Not a goofy movie. But it's very funny in a very Despicable Me type of way. And I've had my thoughts on Despicable Me in the past, but...
Yeah.
Yep. There's also an idea online to make the community Minecraft movie, which is the Minecraft community, animating, storytelling, story writing, all of that, their own, which I think could be fun.
If the people did Villager News, who are they?
Yeah, Element Animation.
Yeah, if they did a movie, gold. That was my childhood.
I know. Thinking about the meme I sent you. Breaking news! Villager number 38 is about to get laid!
No. Don't say that on the Christian podcast.
People said that was the best part of the movie with Jennifer Coolidge, and I did not think it was necessary at all. Like,
I was so uncomfy.
It's like, how can we insert this into the movie?
Like, I get that it's funny to have a villager in the real world, but it was just awkward.
Yep.
I know it was supposed to be, but I don't know. I feel awkward enough as it is. I don't want secondhand awkwardness from a movie.
In my opinion, the villager looked more real than Jennifer Coolidge.
You said that during the movie too. You said like the reason that she didn't question why his head and nose were so big is because she's already got a ton of like work done. So she's like, oh.
Did I say that?
Yeah, probably.
There's no evidence.
Except
It's all hearsay.
my word.
It's all hearsay. Yeah. So.
Anyway.
Anyways.
What are we talking about today?
We're talking about Back to the Future, which was probably one of the first ones that I added. I don't know what to do with my hands. So
I know. I wish we had our microphones actually.
Yeah. Anyways, I'm just gonna keep them crossed.
Cool.
I don't know. Now we're gonna look like we know it all. Back to the Future.
Back to the Future.
1, 2, and 3. I watched them for the first time. You had watched them before.
Yeah.
Very fun. Don't know that I would call them family movies.
Definitely not.
It's kind of the same as Home Alone when we talked about that for Christmas. Home Alone's a little nicer.
Home Alone
but
is
still that era.
Yes, but Home Alone is definitely cleaner. Back to the Future is one that I was surprised that the kids that I babysat were allowed to watch it.
Yep. It's not really like one time my dad, we watched October Sky, which is a movie about with Jake Gyllenhaal, one of his earlier movies, and there was just a lot of more swearing than he realized, and it's just like, whoa, we didn't remember this part.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's always been the talk of Marty and his mom in the past, and that relationship. That's always been weird, and that probably shouldn't have been written, but it kind of makes sense.
The point is it's supposed to be uncomfy, and he's trying to fix it.
Yeah.
And he can't,
and then we feel that
we feel
very
the tension
strongly.
and the weirdness. Yeah.
But the overall idea of them being family movies, are we allowed to think that, or is that too much of a oversimplification?
What do you mean?
They're labeled as family movies, should they not be?
I think they're teen movies. I think they'd be fine for a teenager. Mm-hmm. I mean, I also went to public school, so I heard swearing by like 7th grade.
Yeah, me, I was homeschooled, and I didn't know
Yeah.
any of the bad words.
So like I knew those were words that we didn't say, and I was probably watching these movies in middle school, and that's when I think it's reasonable. It is a little bit edgy for an elementary schooler.
It's very edgy. Yeah, the idea is very lighthearted. It's probably the most simplest, maybe not.
The most simplest.
Most simplest. The most simple time travel movie, maybe not in idea, but in popularity.
They also don't over-explain it.
Yeah.
They're just like, oh, yeah, this would ruin that because time.
There's lots of videos online of like the different types of time travel throughout cinema. Some of them is like the Nothing Matters, and those are usually comedy movies because they're playing it for comedy. There's the branch timeline, which is Marvel and apparently Back to the Future. I didn't realize that until the second one.
Sure.
And then there's like always, or I don't know what it's actually called, but the No Free Will, which is like Tenet, where it always will happen the same way. You're bound.
I thought that's what No Consequences was.
No consequences because you can't mess it up, because what your free will choice has technically already been destined, and therefore is no longer free will. That's like Tenet.
But what's the no consequences? What's the difference?
No consequences is that you could go back and change whatever you wanted.
And it didn't matter.
And it doesn't, it's not like Marty holding the picture and seeing his
like nothing would
disappear.
happen to the future. Yeah. Okay.
Because I believe that is focused on the character, and so even though they're traveling to the past, it's their present, and so it doesn't have a ripple effect.
Oh, that's like time jumping or something, like where they're going around in time, but they're not actually there. They just experience it as if it were there.
Yeah.
But it doesn't actually change anything if you go back.
Yeah. We should watch Looper.
Sure.
Looper, I think it's Looper, is a very different type of time travel movie. But it's not really time travel. Anyways, there's a lot of different ways. There's probably a video I'll link in the description about time travel. And for some reason, I thought that Back to the Future was there was only one timeline. But when you get to the second one, the branch timeline is the thing that Doc draws. And that's because of the almanac, which I actually thought about getting a little almanac because there is props that people sell because it's a big fan base, but I wonder if it's real on the inside now that the 2000s have come and
That
gone.
has already happened, yeah.
Because in 1950 to 2000s, so
Yeah.
I don't know. Some of it is suspension of disbelief. Like if Biff started betting on all those games and became the richest man in the world, that he wouldn't interfere with anything else and those games would still play out the same way.
Yeah.
Like if he gets to a point of being so influential, you'd think that he might change something like an owner of a team, or
Sure.
maybe he was just smart enough to do that, but
yeah.
also Biff's not smart. Biff's not smart.
He's not. That's the funny thing. And he's the villain in every single movie. He's not, but he is. Like the actor.
Yeah. And the ever-present evil, and what they decided to do with which characters, like for the first half of the first movie, I didn't realize that Marty's mom and dad were young people in makeup until I saw their young characters, and then I saw their prosthetics clear as day. It's interesting in number 3, where Marty's great-great-great-great-great-granddad is
Marty.
Michael Fox.
Yeah.
Instead of his dad.
It's just squeaking. It's driving me crazy.
What?
No,
What
it was squeaking against your pants.
I see. Sorry. I will drink it and finish it.
Go. Okay. Yeah, I thought that they should have used the actor that played his dad instead of him.
I truly don't know. But
they did that for like all of the other time travel, so why wouldn't they do it for...
They technically didn't do it for his son.
Oh, it's true, but his son was his... I don't know.
The second one had Marty pretending to be his son. So they had to have Michael Fox be Marty Jr. He didn't replace anybody in the first and third one, even though he met his great-great-great-granddad, who looked like him in the Wild West. And in 1955 was just his dad.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. Some of it's just creative decision. Even Michael Fox wasn't supposed to be in the movie. He was originally, or Marty was somebody else, and they filmed most of his scenes and then realized that he didn't fit the character that well.
Oh.
So then they brought in Michael Fox and refilmed most of his scenes. Maybe not all of them, but they're like the intro shot where he's getting hooked up to the speaker or the big amp was never Michael Fox because you never saw his face. I don't even know. That was either a stunt double or that was the original person to play Marty. But
Getting blasted by the speakers?
Yeah.
Okay.
But that's also a cool reveal because it's a oneer.
Yeah.
And so then you're getting a bunch about Doc, you're getting a bunch about the story because there's hints of like the plutonium stealing, thievery, robbery in the newspapers and stuff. And then you get Marty loving music, and then the reveal of him like crawling out from under the rubble is cool. So I think they're well-crafted movies regardless of content and decisions made for the story. They're well made, and that's why they're so well loved. And they're iconic. Like, I realized that my dad lived before they were released. Sorry, Dad, for dating you, but I texted him and he never responded. But like, what was it like before DeLoreans were cool? Yeah, because most people know that DeLorean means is a reference to Back to the
time
Future.
travel car, yeah.
But it was really an ugly car before then. It was kind of a lemon, and it didn't really. Nobody liked it.
Yeah.
And so it was meant to be like the one that Doc would have had.
Yeah.
Because it's so bad and so unkempt and whatever.
Yeah.
And then it turned into a pop culture icon, and hoverboards and the vests and whatever else. It just set a precedent, and they weren't going to make more than one at first, and so that's interesting because
because the first one actually can stand alone, the other two can't.
True. 2 and 3 are basically one movie. So to be continued.
Yeah.
They planned on the third one when the second one was being made. But when they were making the first one, they were teasing an ambiguous second movie, but never planned to make it. And they said that they would have never brought Jennifer with if they knew they were making a second movie, because then they just shoved her to the sideline. But also then they recast her. If you notice, the end of the first movie and the beginning of the second are different actresses. And
But
they
it's
remade
the same hair, and you really can't tell.
same hair, and they recreated it really well. Michael Fox is a little older.
But he's a little older through the whole movie, so it just makes sense.
It's true. There's a lot of fun facts for a movie as old as that. Obviously, 2015 came and went. So now...
No hoverboards. And those, don't even tell me that those things are hoverboards. They're
the
not.
two-wheel?
They're
The
not.
two-wheel,
It's
yeah.
not hovering.
Well, there are hoverboards, but you have to have a special magnetic floor. And
Oh,
whatever.
yeah.
And it's only like a half inch off the ground.
Or like those science fair ones that are like a blower, and it's just like...
Yeah.
And a kid can sit on it. That's
Yeah,
about it.
yeah. I know we're bouncing all around. I'm thinking
We
about...
usually do.
We usually do. I'm thinking about one of the final shots in the third movie that I showed you a fun fact about. One of the kid actors for Doc's child, they were on screen for like 30 seconds. And
They must have run that scene a bunch of times.
they ran it a bunch of times because the little kid had to go to the bathroom. And you could see it. They kept it in the cut. He signals to... He's still acting. Like his face, he's looking at Marty, and but very subtly, you can see him do this and then point at it because he needs to go to the bathroom.
It's like...
No, he's trying to get there. He's like, come here. I need to go to the bathroom. It's very obvious what he's doing, but it's...
But you're not usually watching the kids, so...
I knew this fun fact
Yeah.
beforehand.
From film school.
And it's just funny to watch because he's like 4 and can't hold it for much longer because they've been filming for so long or something.
Or I just didn't think.
Yeah. I don't know. I bet he's all grown up now, and now he knows that everyone knows him from something. The reason this is on our list was because I wanted to talk about consequences of life and time, and maybe we could talk about the sacred timeline, as the Marvel Universe calls it, of what should happen, and if we had the chance to go back, should we change anything? Because obviously I think mistakes were made in the movie.
In the first one, yeah.
Yeah, but they needed, and that caused the events to flow into all 3 movies, which actually I think does really well. They get to go to the Wild West because of something that is the butterfly effect, and obviously you end up with a different timeline of Marty or the McFlys being rich.
Yeah.
And Doc having a train time machine, which he said he was going to destroy the time machine. So I don't know how that's...
He said that a few times, and it still seemed to remain through all of the movies.
The idea of if we should or could change anything, there's something to be said about God's sovereignty. Mm-hmm. There's a lot to be said about God's sovereignty. Obviously, this is all hypothetical.
God is sovereign.
Yeah. But...
I feel like that's enough said.
Yeah. Well, you could get deeper. You could get
no.
into free will.
Yeah.
Hypothetically, if something had the ability to time travel, there's always the hypothetical question of what would you change? So first off, without any consequences, what would you change?
I have a better question for you. Would you kill baby Hitler?
You've asked me this before. No, because he hadn't sinned yet. And this is actually something I should talk with Zach about with Moon Knight. Did you ever watch Moon Knight?
No. Well, I tried to. It was really boring, so I stopped.
Oh.
I watched the first episode.
Okay. The villain of that show was able to see everything a person did, and if it outweighed the good and bad, and then basically killed them if they hadn't done enough good.
That sounds like most religions.
But before they had done bad. So the idea is like, if they haven't done it yet, should they be judged for it? That's at least... That's what I see as the answer to the baby Hitler question.
Yeah. But the problem is, it's not like a potential of him doing evil. You know that he's Hitler and that he did all those things.
Yeah.
Because in your circumstance, it's past.
But then I'd be charged with killing a baby.
Well, you would go
time.
Back to the Future.
Oh, I see.
Back to the Future?
That's the name of the movie.
Roll credits!
It's a stupid question because it's never going to happen.
Well, you're the one who's asking the hypotheticals of time travel.
But you didn't answer my question.
What was your question?
What would you change? About anything in time?
I don't think I would.
Okay. That's a fair question. Fair answer.
Honestly, I'm cautious enough with the present and how it could affect the future. I'm definitely not willing to go back and say, oh, this will be the right decision that will make everything okay in the future. Because honestly, first of all, utopia is not going to happen on this earth. And second, I don't think anything I could change would be for the better because God's sovereign will has played out. And I guess if I went back and changed something, that would be God's sovereign will. So that makes it even more crazy. But yeah, I don't think I would. I don't think I trust myself enough for that. It's like the SpongeBob thing where he's like writing on an essay. It's just
I still never watched an episode of SpongeBob.
That's like one of 3 episodes I've seen.
Okay. With the idea of time travel, it is a fun idea to figure out what would it look like. But when you get that power, it turns into like playing God.
Right.
And that's part of the story. I'm not saying they were wrong for writing that. It's a fun fictional movie. But you can't make those decisions of what you would change because it's maybe even dangerous to go into the future to find out what's going to happen, let alone go into the past and change something. Yeah. So there's really no benefit ethically, theologically to do this.
No.
Because we believe in God's sovereign will. And if you change something, it's not going to lead to the same place. And that's the point of the first movie where they're trying to put it back together, even if it's brute force. And now his parents have an idea of a young guy named, I forgot what he went by. He went by Marty by the end. Because they said, Marty, nice name.
And which?
First movie.
Calvin Klein.
Because
it was his underwear.
But then by the end he said,
yeah.
She was like, Marty, I like that name.
Yeah.
But the...
So she sounds like Marty.
Presumably, in the first timeline, they just met as described in the movie, where then they went to the dance,
yes.
They kissed, and then they continued their relationship. Whereas now, in the end of the first movie, where they're all rich, they now have a memory of somebody named Marty, and it happens to be their actual son.
Yeah.
But that's the overarching knowledge that we have as viewers.
Right. And Marty knows.
And Marty. Yeah, that's also weird.
It's just super uncomfy.
Yeah. Well, we don't think about that.
Yeah, well.
There's a lot of things you just gotta avoid thinking about.
I think that's
too
the
much.
thing with this movie is it's not that deep, and if you start making it that deep, it gets weird real fast.
Yep. I think something I pointed out was that Doc's faces were very funny.
The best face.
He did such a great job. Christopher Lloyd. Yeah. He did such a great job. He was only 50 when they filmed the first one. And now he'd be getting near 90. But also Michael J. Fox I believe he has Parkinson's. And so he in all his interviews, like he's still
Yeah.
not conscious. He's still all there, but he shakes and he has twitches and all that. But I don't know. It's just interesting to see a movie about age and generations. Obviously, they did a lot of stuff in 2015. There was a documentary that came out in 2015 looking back on the 30 years of how Back to the Future has changed stuff, changed pop culture. But even now, they're still around and they're doing fun stuff. Like they did like Lego voicing and stuff. And for Dimensions, I think, was one of them. And
Fun.
There's actually very limited Back to the Future spin-offs. I believe there's a video game and there's some comics. But the creators said that they don't want a Back to the Future 4. They don't want any spin-offs.
Good for them.
Yeah, this is something to be said about
This is
keeping boundaries on your art.
yeah.
If they made a Back to the Future 4, it would make a lot of money.
Take notes, Disney.
People think that Tom Holland should play Marty's son.
No,
Yeah, I know. I'm not saying he should. I'm saying this.
there's
is what
only one person who can play Marty's son,
Marty.
and he's old.
Yeah, Michael
Yeah.
Michael Fox. Anyways, the problem is that they have that deal until they die. They're getting there. It's been 40 years since Back to the Future released. So I am unfortunately expecting there to be a Back to the Future 4 when they eventually pass. I would hope that the fans have enough say in things to say, don't do this, even though they're gone. Like, we are going to stand for them.
I don't even do a Back to the Future 4. If you're gonna if you're gonna use the concept and the time machine and the world, they can do that and have it be like after they've passed, someone stumbles upon this train time machine and they're like, what the heck is this? And it'll be like way in the future.
Yeah.
And then it can be a whole different set of characters, a whole different story. Like, that would even be okay. And they just wouldn't call it Back to the Future. They'd say it's like some other like spin-off of Back to the Future.
I'm sure there's some sort of rule or agreement with certain intellectual property of Back to the Future, like when it comes to what time machine is available.
Yeah.
Like, could you use a different car and still have 88 miles an hour? Like, obviously there's been references to that,
Yeah.
but if you're going to build a world off of the same technology and idea.
Well, it would still be a Back to the Future movie. It would just be it would be new characters or a reboot kind
Yeah.
of, but
Yeah. Oh, a reboot would be even worse than a
not a
4.
reboot.
Well, I'm saying a reboot would be worse than a 4th movie. Because that's assuming that there is a lot of stuff wrong with the first one, but I don't know that I would change it because you can't just change. We had a whole episode on changing art and how George Lucas did that. I don't think we got to the reboot part of changing art, but if you were to change the awkwardness of the first movie, it would not be as awkward, and you wouldn't feel what Marty's feeling with his own mom, even though his mom is his age at that point. So, don't change it.
Yeah. Yeah, it's just some things need to stay in the past, literally.
Let the past die, if you have to.
And it's good that way because now we can go back and rewatch those movies and love them. It's just sad when they start remaking things, like everything. And by the way, I don't condone them making a new movie, but if they are going to make a new movie, they better not try to recast the characters because that's not going to work.
Yeah. I got a rant about old movies, and I told you my idea, and I'm sure a lot of people think this as well. The older a movie gets, the less it should cost on streaming. Now, obviously, Back to the Future, as of now, is not streaming on a certain platform besides, renting it on Amazon. Almost any movie is available on Amazon. But included with a subscription.
Yeah.
It's not streaming anywhere. And the idea that I had was that every decade, a movie should go down in price. So that once it's old enough, it's like basically free. You should not be paying to rent a movie. They should not still be getting royalties for that movie after like 50, 60 years. I know Back to the Future's not there yet.
I know. I actually disagree, though, because
It's gotta be contrarian.
No, because if the movie is good enough that people still want to rent it that far in the future, then it's worth it to be they should be getting paid for being doing such a good job and having such a good movie. Like, if it's still getting that many people watching it, it's worth it. It can go down in price, and a lot of movies do go down in price if it's not as popular. But Back to the Future hasn't stopped being popular, so yeah, they should make money off of it. It's capitalism. It's a good movie.
Frick. At the very least, Amazon should let me buy the movie for the price
I think you
minus
could
what
buy a DVD set pretty cheap.
Well, yeah, but we didn't. We rented each one of them, and now we can't watch them again.
We could buy them now that you like them.
Yeah.
I think my parents have them.
Why did you tell me that?
Because we'd have to go get them.
That'd be better than paying $3.50. I was going to say that Amazon should have a system where if you rent a movie and you like it, then you should be able to buy it at a discounted price because otherwise you'd be buying it for the same amount as if you hadn't watched it. And because you already paid the rent, at least in that window, you should be able to get whatever. If you're buying it for $16, renting it for $3, you should be able to buy it at the end of the movie for $13. That makes sense. Mm-hmm. Okay, rant over.
Your enthusiasm about this topic is funny.
Thank you.
At least you're not pirating it. Don't pirate movies.
No, don't do that. I know one of my co-hosts who does.
Well, remember, we grew up with the piracy is not a victimless crime.
Oh yeah,
screen.
the IRS is coming for you screen at the beginning of DVDs.
Yeah.
Yep.
Where did that go? The good old days. They should do that. Doesn't really work as well on a streaming service.
You wouldn't download a car.
True, I wouldn't.
There was an old ad that was like that.
I don't know.
My favorite version of it was one I put on our Les Mis release post, and it was Jean Valjean looking into the camera, and it's like, you wouldn't download Bread. Because piracy and thievery and all that. Yeah. So, what else do we like about Back to the Future?
I like that it's goofy silly.
It's goofy
We
silly.
already talked about that.
Yep. I do like that they predicted 2015, even if they had nothing. Like, it wasn't meant to be factual. And I kind of wish I was able to comprehend it back when it did happen, but I was 14, so.
I think it's so strange that we still see that as like the future, but it was 10 years ago.
Yeah.
And it's just like this weird kind of thing where you're like, oh, they're going to the future, but that is not at all what 2015 looks like.
Yeah, there have been many jokes about what they should have gone to, like what it would have looked like now that 2015 has happened. But
didn't know so many people would be facing their screens all the time.
that's not even in 2015. Like, yeah, there were phones, but there wasn't
phones.
as much social media as
Sure.
as
There
there is
was.
now.
There was social media.
There was social media, not as much social media.
Snapchat was still a thing, though.
In 2015?
I think so. You can fact check me on that.
My phone's being used right now.
My phone's almost dead.
You got 4%.
Basically full.
When did Snapchat launch? Put your guess in the comments. 2011. I
Told
was
ya.
wrong. Oh,
See-
it was originally in Peekaboo. That's what the little ghost does. It's Peekaboo.
Interesting. I just remember people had Snapchat when I was in middle school, and I was 13 in 2015, so it makes sense.
Yeah. Very different, but you can only. What's interesting is that they didn't assume that things were better. They just assumed things were different.
Yeah.
Like they had wishful thinking about hoverboards and these cool cars and different styles of clothing and whatever. But they really didn't go the route of everything is perfect.
No.
There's still a lot of problems.
I think that, I mean, if you're in a movie that's studying history, because they kind of had to in a way, even if their people were alive in the 50s, you have to realize that all throughout history, things haven't gotten better per se, just different.
Yeah.
Like the problems are different. The problems come from different places, but they're still the same essential problems that all humans face.
Well, that's kind of what Biff was. It was the ever-present evil.
Yeah.
Not that the Tannen? Yeah, Biff Tannen. The Tannen family tree is all evil, which they are.
They all look the same.
And they all look the same. But they're the representation of sin will always be here.
Yeah.
And we may think that there was a certain time that's better than this one, but in actuality, they had their own problems. I think, no. Zach and I were talking about it in our nostalgia episode, where you can't really find the perfect time. It just was different problems. And so, yeah, they went back to 55 reluctantly, but they saw that there wasn't a magical lovey-dovey time. It was still bullies and tough luck and whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They do a good job showing that. I just realized that they predicted video calls. Because that's something that's in the future one where he's getting fired. But then if it gets faxed, you're fired. And that's kind of funny. But it is a video call.
Yeah, there's some stuff that was actually pretty... We always talk about hoverboards and the stupid styles of like the hat that Biff has was really, really stupid. But there's some like... Wasn't Elvis greeting you in the cafe or the diner on a video screen?
Sure, probably.
And that could be like an AI persona that they have now.
That wasn't 2015 though, but yeah.
No, but some of it is actually becoming somewhat real, which I think is cool. Something that I was thinking about when I saw a long time ago about the hoverboard, magnetic field or magnetic floor type of hoverboard, is that they were inspired by Back to the Future. So in a weird way, Back to the Future incentivized more technological advancements to try and get to the thing. It's like the hacksmith on YouTube who tries to make movie stuff in real life. I'm sure he's probably made or tried to make a hoverboard. But yes, there's technical limitations, but they're getting closer. Like he's made a lightsaber that's really cool, an Iron Man suit that's really close to Iron Man. Like you got to come up with this stuff even in fiction to be able to inspire something that could actually be useful and real one day. Be creative. Be creative, guys. That was actually the point of the Minecraft movie. I forgot completely about the point, is that it was meant to be like, creativity is good.
Yeah. That's not this movie.
Chicken jockey.
That was actually way too good.
I've heard it way too much.
It's just turning into Jack Black. Your beard's going to start growing out. It's going to be great.
No.
Okay, one more thing about the Minecraft movie.
I thought we were done.
I know, but I need to say this. Jack Black had his one moment in Mario singing, and now he can't stop. And, like, he's not a bad singer, but he's not great either. Like, he seems to think that is his thing now, and he's got to sing 3 times in one movie that's not a musical.
Well, Peaches was a hit, for sure.
Yep.
And then Kung Fu Panda 4, he sang Hit Me Baby One More Time.
Oh, he did.
Not as Poe, but he sang for I believe it was the credit scene.
Yeah.
And that might have been playing off of Peaches as well. But then there definitely was, like, he needs to be singing. But somebody said 3 times.
Yeah.
And I have definitely had Lava Chicken stuck in my head for many hours at a time.
Speaking of music, the music in Back to the Future is a vibe.
Yes.
The 80s, Power of Love. I love that song.
Which I think was written specifically for the movie.
Probably was, but I knew that one from like swimming because it became an 80s pop song. Oh yeah, that doesn't make any sense out of context. We listened to 80s music on my swim team in high school.
Okay, but was it from the 50s in the story?
No, it was from the 80s.
It was from the 80s.
They might have written the song for the movie, but it became an 80s pop song.
Yes, but was it diegetic or non-diegetic? Pop quiz, what does that mean?
I know what that means.
Michael knows what I mean.
I know what you mean, but I think it was non-diegetic. I don't think it was actually playing.
I just forgot.
I think it was just playing in the background of the opening scene with the Rube Goldberg and all that.
Oh, okay.
I might be wrong. There might have been a radio or something that turned on.
It's the power of
It might actually, now that I think about it, I think the radio did turn on during that Rube Goldberg. Okay. So it might have been.
Okay. Yeah, so it was a fake song for the movie that turned into a song of its time, which happened to be the 80s.
Right.
Because it was released in 85.
Yes.
Yeah.
Which happens a lot.
Yeah.
There's a lot of songs from movies that become pop songs.
But it was written as like an 80s hit for the world of Back to the Future, not knowing that it would be an 80s hit of the real
Yeah, but it was
world.
more of an opening song. It wasn't really meant to be. I hear what you're saying.
But they used it throughout the series as well.
Yeah, I think.
I'm trying to make it more complicated because I like that. Don't know why.
It's not that deep. It's just a good song.
It is a fun song.
And I really like the music in that. Yeah.
Spot on. Mm-hmm. I know I brought up Doc's face. It's like, but I was also thinking of like Biff in specifically the second one, where he's like, "Big fly,
Yes.
He's like shaking. Those are the parts where it's obviously not taking it seriously. I think those are supposed to make us remember that it's not supposed to be serious, and that it's part comedy.
It's mostly comedy.
It's mostly comedy with a little bit of thoughtfulness and complication and time travel.
Yeah.
But
They do stress me out more than most comedy movies, so I will say that. There are times where I'm like, oh no, they're not going to make it. But they're going to make it because I've seen this movie like 5 times and it's a comedy, so.
yeah, and there's a lot that doesn't make sense, like why Doc didn't land at the end of the second and he just kept flying and then get struck by lightning.
Yeah.
It's just, you gotta let it go. They had to make a third movie.
Yeah.
I actually want to know what the box office for it was.
3%?
Oh, wow. Well, that's maybe not adjusted for inflation. It said $964 million worldwide. 1.18 billion is what it said for adjusted to inflation. Gosh, I can't speak. So yes, it was a $1 billion movie. I did not know. It had to have been something that big. It had to have been that big. I do like looking at the box office mojo, adjusted for inflation.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm getting carried away.
Stats.
I like numbers. I should have taken statistics in college.
You should have.
I didn't though.
Yeah.
Anyways, it's getting late. We got this episode out now. We got some good ones coming out too. Later.
Like what?
I already said.
I don't remember.
Well, you get to listen to the episode.
Yeah. I was just trying to help you pitch it, but okay.
No. Daredevil Born Again, collab, and then Zach and I on a road trip. I believe that's the order. I still need to make sure that that's going to work with their bi-weekly schedule. But have a good Friday. While you're...
I was going to say he is risen, but if it's Good Friday, it's not that yet. Well, he is risen.
Now.
But we're not celebrating that on Good Friday.
And we're not
That's
feeling
in the
that,
past. We're not going to the past.
Well, and we're not feeling that because it's not Good Friday yet.
Yes.
This is recorded before Good Friday.
For Palm Sunday. That's cool.
While you don't have an episode every other week, you can listen to past episodes because I have found myself going back to even some of my favorites. I go back to the soundtrack episode, the Dark Knight episodes. Those are just ridiculous and very funny between the 4 of us.
Well, soundtrack episodes if they actually keep them up this time.
That's true. PSA, I had to take down the extended edition of the soundtrack episodes on Spotify because they got claimed, or they finally recognized that there was copyright.
Full songs in there.
Full songs in there. YouTube does not care. Like they said, you can still upload it even though they found it. So extended episodes are on YouTube only, and then shorter versions of those are still on Spotify.
Which is still enough to get the gist of what the songs are.
Yes.
So I think they're good.
Yeah. What's your favorite episode
Oh gosh.
out of the last 110? Yeah.
I feel like any of the ones where you have the Nolan Bros together, you guys are just goofy. But the Deacon ones are good. So it's really just the people.
So, yeah,
it doesn't matter what you're talking about. Deacon makes me so angry, and yet I can't stop laughing when I listen to those episodes, which I feel like is just his personality. He's trying to stir the pot.
Yes, that's very
But
true.
it's funny.
Yep. I need to go back and listen to the Eternal Outro episode, which is where he just,
Yeah, he just does not show
let
that.
me finish.
I showed that one to my sister. She loved it.
That is fun. I think we might plan a girls' takeover episode soon too.
Yeah.
That's on our radar. So that'll be fun. Don't have to listen to boys talk about boy stuff all the time. You legitimately might talk about My Little Pony and Barbie.
We might.
Okay.
Or we might talk about Clone Wars. I don't know.
Watch Clone Wars.
I've watched the
should
first
watch-
season.
we should watch Clone Wars.
And I know Anna loves it.
Yeah.
So
I need to watch it for Zach's sake. I mean, not for Zach's sake. I wouldn't do it for Zach.
you do anything for Zach.
No. All right. Thanks for listening. or watching.
Someone's replacing Josh in the game for the game.
No. Maybe all 4 of us are. William would.
That would make so much sense.
No. Okay.
Just for each other.
Allegedly. All alleged.
Allegedly.
Thank you for listening or watching. Go listen to a different episode. Let us know what your favorite episode is.
Not this episode?
Not this
well,
one.
I guess I just finished this episode.
Well, yeah, since they finished it, it can be counted as one of your most favorite if it went up there. But
That doesn't make any sense.
no.
Nope.
Let us know your favorite episode in the description. Not in the description. You can't edit the description. Either in the comments or on our Discord. That'd be fun to know what we're a hit. So, cheers with a friend. And until next week, know that you're loved. God bless.
Bye.